In this video, I'm going to discuss about the structure of proteins from the chapter biomolecules. Yes. So, before looking at the structure of these proteins, so what are the proteins made up of? Actually, the proteins are made up of alpha amino acids. So, what are the main structural units of this? It is the amino acids. That's the alpha amino acids are linked by means of what bond? Peptide bond or peptide linkage, resulting in the formation of this peptide bond and the formation of the peptide bond in between the amino acids and the sequence. Number of amino acids are being linked together, resulting in the formation of this proteins. So first we'll look at the formation of the peptide bond in between two amino acids. So what are the main structural units of these proteins? It is the amino acid. Yes. This, if I take suppose the glycine is the simplest amino acid, like NH2, CH2, COOH. And I'll take alanine, that's the next amino acid. This is a glycine, and alanine is where one CH3 group is present on this, right? This is alanine. So how peptide bond is being formed in between these two amino acids? This is amino acid number 1 and amino acid number 2. So by the removal of water molecule here, we can see this. By removal of the water molecule, from COH group of one amino acid and the amino group of another amino acid will combine here by the removal of the water molecule, resulting in the formation of a dipeptide here. So this is amino acid 1, amino acid 2, so resulting in the formation of a dipeptide here. So NH2, CH2, CO, NH bond is being formed here, right? So this is a formation of a dipeptide, and if you can see here, this is the peptide linkage here. So this CONH bond. This is what a peptide linkage or amide bond or peptide bond, which is being formed in between the two amino acids, that is glycine and alanine. So I can represent this as glycyl alanine, which means a peptide bond is formed in between amino acid glycine and amino acid alanine, resulting in the formation of this dipeptide. Because there are two amino acids here which are linked by one peptide bond, so I will call it as dipeptide. So how it is being formed? When COH of one amino acid combines with or reacts with this NH2 group of another amino acid, results in the elimination of the water molecule, resulting in the formation of a peptide bond. This is how the two molecules here, the reaction in between the two molecules or the two molecules of these amino acids combine, resulting in the formation of a dipeptide. Right. So here, yes. So if two amino acids are combined here, resulting in the formation of a dipeptide. If 3 amino acids, then we are calling it as what? Tripeptide. If 4 amino acids, tetrapeptide. 5 amino acids, pentapeptide, and so on. If it is more than 10 amino acids, then we are calling it as polypeptide. Polypeptide means what? The number of amino acids can be more than 10 but connected together by means of peptide linkages, when they are calling it as what? Polypeptide. If 100 such amino acid residues are connected together, resulting in the formation of a protein. For example, this insulin. Insulin is also a protein, but only 51 amino acids, but still we are calling it as a protein here. So how these amino acids are connected here? The amino acids are connected by means of a peptide bond. That means COH1, one amino acid combines with the NH2 group of another amino acids with the removal of the water molecule, resulting in the formation of a peptide bond or a amide. Right. So how these proteins can be classified as? Proteins can be classified on the basis of the shape as fibrous proteins or globular proteins. Yes, when we look at this fibrous proteins and globular proteins here, Right. When the polypeptide chains runs parallel to one another and these two are linked by means of hydrogen bonds or disulfide bonds here, then it is called as a fibrous protein, that resulting in a fiber-like structure like this. But what are globular proteins? If the polypeptide chain coil around resulting in a spherical shape, then that is nothing but a globular word itself. Right, these fibrous proteins are insoluble in water actually, because you can say there's a little complex structure, but these are soluble in water easily. Right, so for common examples of this fibrous protein, so what is insoluble in water? We connect to this, maybe the protein hair, right, keratin, which is present in hair, wool, silk, all these are insoluble in water. And myosin, which is present in muscle also is insoluble in water. And insulin albumins are the globular proteins which are soluble in water. Right. Now, the structure of these proteins can be studied at 4 different levels. That's primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary structure. So the primary structure here, when we look at the primary structure, right, what is a protein? It is a polypeptide chain. That means connected, many amino acids are linked together in a protein. If this is one amino acids, these many amino acids are linked together, resulting in the formation of a long polypeptide chain. Right. So how these amino acids are linked together? By means of peptide linkages. Right. So the sequence of these amino acids is very important here. It is actually the sequence of these amino acids which forms a primary structure. So if I say the sequence of these amino acids, the protein is different protein is formed here. So it is the sequence of these amino acids decides which protein it is. So it's nothing but what? The primary structure is nothing but the constitution of a protein, because it decides what the protein is. It is this sequence. If the sequence is changing, the protein itself is changing. A different protein is being synthesized. Right, so it's nothing but the primary structure is nothing but is the actually the sequence of amino acids. In other words, the constitution of the protein. Right. What is the secondary structure? The secondary structure refers to the shape. It gives the shape of the protein. It can exist in 2 different shapes here: alpha helix and beta pleated structure. Right. So it can form alpha helix structure or beta pleated structure. You said that what it's a protein now, it's a long chain of nucleotides. It's a polynucleotide chain. Now this polynucleotide chain can fold, resulting in 2 different shapes. There's the alpha helix structure or beta pleated structure. And how these how they are maintained can shape is because of the hydrogen bonds in between this CO and NH bonds here. So CO and NH groups. So how the polypeptide chain, the amino acids are linked by means of CO and H bonds. Right? So this CO and NH, the CO and NH bonds, the CO of, I'll tell you this, okay, fine. So how this maintain the shape of this alpha helix or beta pleated structure? Because of the hydrogen bonds which can form in between the CO and NH groups of the amino. Yes, first of all, let's look at what is this alpha helix structure. Yes, so this polypeptide chains, right? This is a polypeptide. It's a number of peptide amino acids which are linked together to form a polypeptide chain, right? So here, the polypeptide chain can coil or twist in a right-handed screw. This is how this is twisted here, resulting in the formation of alpha helix here. This is how the alpha helix is being formed by the twisting of the chain. So how this can maintain its shape? I said, so the amino acids are linked by means of CONH bonds. So the NH of one twist or one, one turn gets bonded to the CO of another turn. This is one turn and this is a second turn. So the first turn NH is being to the second turn CO by means of what? Hydrogen bond. So hydrogen bond is being formed in between the NH of one turn and the CO of another turn, or vice versa, whatever. Right. So here, how many? If you assume this to be one first amino acids, then it is linked by means of a hydrogen bond to the CO of the another turn of the amino acid number 5. So here is so the CO of one amino acid is hydrogen bonded to the amino H of another amino acid that is 4 down the chain. That is, we can say that, for example, if this is first amino acid, this NH, then it linked to by means of a hydrogen bond to the CO of another turn, which is the 5th number amino acid. It's the 5th amino acid. So this is how the shape of this alpha helix, it can maintain its shape, the alpha helix shape, by means of this hydrogen bonds, which is formed in between the different turns here. So first turn is connected to the second turn by means of a hydrogen bond in between the NH of first amino acid and the CO of the 5th amino acid. That is why it is able to maintain this alpha helix structure. Right. So what is important here is the hydrogen bonds which are being formed, which are maintaining this alpha helix shape. Right. So now this polypeptide chain can also be in the form of a beta plated structure. Right. When two or more segments of the polypeptide chain line up, these are the, these are extended. It's extended like the sheets here. Whenever these amino acids does not fit into the alpha helix structure, because R groups may be different here. I mean, the R groups, if they are bulky, they cannot fit into this alpha helix structure. See, if this is the secondary structure, this is a long chain, and this is a polypeptide chain, right? So this can be in the form of an alpha helix or beta plated structure. This is a beta plated structure, right? So how these are linked here, these two pleats here, these are the two pleats by means of, again, hydrogen bonds. Here also the turns of the helix are being maintained. The shape of this helix structure is maintained by means of hydrogen bonds in between the different turns. Here also in between the sheets, here whenever the folding is not possible, whenever the amino acids are not able to fit into this alpha helix structure, they remain as the sheets here. So now these sheets also are held together by means of hydrogen bonds. See, this is one sheet, this is the second sheet. These two, again, how they are maintaining this shape here, the hydrogen bonds are being formed between the NH of this thing and CO of the next sheet. Again, CO, NH, CO, NH, CO, NH, CO, NH. Right. This can run parallel or anti-parallel to each other. That means this here, we can see it's NH and CO. Here it is CO and NH. Or we can see here, whatever, this parallel or anti-parallel that run to each other. So how they are maintaining their shape, either this alpha helix structure or beta plated structure, they're able to maintain this shape by means of hydrogen bonds. So here the hydrogen bonds are being in between the amino acids, of the different turns here, of the next turn, of one amino acid of one turn and the NH of the next turn. Here also the beta plated structure are able to held together by means of hydrogen bonds in between the different sheets here, right, or between the different sheets. See, this is an amino acid, right? So general structure of an amino acid. This is an R group. R group is different for different amino acids. If the R group is small here, they're able to form the alpha helix structure. But if these R groups are big here, so because of this R groups big here, they're not able to fit into the alpha helix structure, so they remain as sheets here, and they're able to maintain their shape in between these, maintain their shape by means of the formation of the hydrogen bonds in between these sheets. So the R groups here will extend above and below the plane of the sheet. This is the plane of the sheet here. So they will extend above and below the plane of the sheet here, because they have enough space for the R groups in the beta plated structure. But here there is no enough space. Therefore, they will revert to this beta plated structure. So the secondary structure is a folding of this polypeptide chain, either in the form of alpha helix structure or beta plated structure. Right. So now next is tertiary structure. What is this tertiary structure? The secondary structure now folds back on itself, giving the overall three-dimensional structure for this. So this is actually the three-dimensional structure where how this secondary structure can fold back on itself, resulting in the two shapes, whether the fibrous structure or the globular structure to these proteins. Right. So the overall folding of this secondary structure or the overall folding of this protein is nothing but the tertiary structure, which is the final structure, final three-dimensional structure of it, whether it's giving rise to a fibrous structure or the globular structure for the proteins. Nothing but what is the further folding of the secondary structure. So how can it maintain this tertiary structure now? See, this is a tertiary structure. This tertiary structure is what? This is the alpha helix. If you can see, this is what alpha. We can see the beta plated structure also here in this. See, these are the beta plated structures. So it can be in the form of the secondary structure. I mean, the primary structure is nothing but what? The sequence of amino acids. Secondary structure is what? What is the shape of it? Whether it is alpha or beta plated structure. And now the secondary structure further folds. See, this is the polypeptide chain. This is further folding. This is further folding. This is further folding. Right, this further folding of it is nothing but a three-dimensional structure, a 3D structure or tertiary structure. How it can maintain this shape now? These, these turns or these folds are held together by means of hydrophobic interactions or disulfide bridges or ionic bonds or hydrogen bonds. So either all these bonds collectively is responsible for maintaining this tertiary structure of these proteins. So in between these turns or these foldings are held together by means of ionic bonding wherever possible, or disulfide bridges or hydrogen bonds or hydrophobic interactions is being able to maintain this tertiary structure. Actually, this is the till tertiary structure, we can see if there is only one polypeptide chain in a protein. But if there is more than one polypeptide chain in a protein, so for suppose two or more polypeptide chains, then we are calling these polypeptide chains as subunits. So this is one polypeptide chain, this is the second polypeptide chain, and the spatial arrangements of these polypeptide chains with respect to one another is nothing but a quaternary structure. Actually, if there is one polypeptide chain, it is we can see only till the tertiary structure. If there are two or three polypeptide chains, we can see the quaternary structure. So how these polypeptide chains are arranged with respect to one another is nothing but a quaternary structure. To sum up here, this primary structure is nothing but what? The sequence of amino acids, how these amino acids are arranged with respect to one another. The sequence or the constitution is nothing but the primary structure. Secondary structure is what? It can form, is actually the shape of the, how it turns. It can turn in the form of an alpha helix or beta plated structure, depending upon the amino acids, depending upon the R groups there. Right? If they can fit into the alpha helix, they will form alpha helix. If they're unable to fit into this alpha helix, they form the beta plated structure. And how it is able to maintain this structure? By means of hydrogen bonds in between these turns or in between these pleats. So what is responsible for the maintenance of this? Hydrogen bonds. And further folding of this secondary structure resulting in the formation of tertiary structure. Right? Whether giving it a particular shape, like whether it is globular or whether it is a fibrous proteins. So how it is able to maintain its structure, how these foldings are able to maintain its shape, again by means of what? Hydrogen bonds or disulfide bonds or dipole-dipole interactions or whatever. So they're able to maintain this structure by means of hydrogen bonding or disulfide bonding or van der Waals forces or electrostatic forces of attraction. Right. So if there is one polypeptide chain, this is at last level, we can see that is the tertiary structure. If there are two or more polypeptide chains, then we can see this quaternary structure. So we are calling these polypeptide chains as subunits, and how these subunits are arranged. This is subunit 1 and subunit 2, or polypeptide number 1 and polypeptide number 2. How these are arranged with respect to one another is nothing but the quaternary structure. If you like my video, please do like, share, and subscribe my channel. The whole chapter of this biomolecules has been discussed on my YouTube channel, and the link of it has been given in the description box below.